How do you become an artist? Here's my advice. Brand yourself. Acquire cultural capital. How do you do that? Well, you basically appear either in a literary magazine, a performance art magazine, and sort of tell the world who you are and what you are. And after you've been there for about 4 times, you have enough capital so people, it's accumulated, so they say, okay, you are an artist, you are a writer, you are a performance artist, you are so and so. Invisible Seattle was in the odd position of never branding itself as anything, never even knowing what it was. So one week we were talking to architecture magazines about urbanism. The others we were talking about performance art and all the theatrical stuff we did. Other stuff we were turning in text for literary magazines. But none of it ever coalesced or accumulated together in capital. Nor, by the way, were we trying to acquire it. Because here's the other thing I realized. There's this wonderful distinction between what's called accumulation and expenditure that's associated with Georges Bataille. On the one hand, the notion of getting more and more and accumulating the same thing. On the other hand, the notion of literally throwing prodigally everything out as a gift, as a potlatch explosion. We engaged in 10 years, a bunch of people got together in America with no plan to achieve anything, no sight for anything we could do, just prodigally throughout text, performances, and at a certain point, why did we stop in '93, as Rob said? Because the internet had arrived, and we had created the internet off the internet before it happened, because there were only bulletin boards. So we were doing, my favorite story of this time is so basically we started out to write a novel of the city, or get the city of Seattle to write its own novel, to recreate a kind of freeze-dried oral tradition a la Homer and combine it together into various structures that would give us a text. We went looking for an invisible city, and we found one that we hadn't expected, because we used computers in the event as simply technique, as devices to put down text. But what we ended up discovering was bulletin boards. Yeah. We were discovering the online world, which didn't exist. Yeah. So what we used as a tool was suddenly a new possibility for use. So we explored this for about 6 months, and we realized there was a lot that we could do with it, and we went to the NEA for a grant to set up essentially an internet before it existed. We sort of said, look, we basically have one computer on somebody's desk. People have to call up, wait for a busy signal for an hour, and then the next person can get on and leave text.
300 baud.
What if we got $60,000 and we created a thing where 6 people could get on, and then we got phone companies to give in-kind stuff, and they could, provide free calls from long distance, so we wouldn't be limited to the pool of writers that we had, because we'd gotten to know all of our own shticks and so forth. Yeah. And what they said to us, with utter incomprehension, here we are, Columbus explaining to various people, why don't we sail west? They sort of said, well, how would you exercise quality control on the texts that were on the board? In other words, they were afraid that what people would write wouldn't meet a particular standard that they already had, and they basically they did not give us any money. Here we were, like, doing stuff that we could see what was going on, and we couldn't make anybody else see it who had funding to give it at the time. So we just went off and did it on our own anyway for all these years, and then eventually the internet came along, and it's basically, all right, they don't need us anymore. We can all go do our own things, write our other stuff, and so forth.